Hello, my name is Jupiter Hadley, and today we're playing Bright Paw. This is a turn-based game where you make all of your moves using cards, and it's heavily narrated. And it's about this little cat called Theo, who's just woken up from a dream. The tutorial's actually the dream, and is now exploring his house. There's a big focus on narration, as you can hear the narrator speaking in the background. He speaks all the time. And basically you're given this level and a bunch of different cards that you can use to move around that level. And they can be previewed to show you exactly where you'd move to, and you can only play cards that you can see the end arrow of. There's also items around the room, like this is Theo's bowl, that you can click on and rotate, and it'll tell you a little bit of information. So one of Theo's most prized possessions, completely devoid of answers, insight, or food. And this is 1 out of 3 collectibles in this room. Collectibles sort of highlight, or they might just stay hidden, encouraging you to tap around. Some do tell you little hints of the story and about what's going on, but most of them don't at first. So that's one of the core bits of the story. Basically, Theo's family were into something more than he knows. There's lots of hints towards weapons and military grade weapons and some sort of production of that, as well as lots of futuristic devices, I suppose, that Theo just hasn't noticed because they're a cat. As the levels go on, you can rotate and move them around and sort of see them. The cards change. So at first you have just about enough cards to go through the level, and then soon you start playing in a way that you get given cards after you play cards, so you have to find the right way to do all of these different movements. And if at any point, we've clicked on the grandfather clock by mistake. I haven't really gone through and done all of the collectibles because I'm not personally a collectible person. But at any point, if you get to a place where you've used a card erroneously and you need to use it in a different way, you can actually just rewind by 1 move, and you can keep doing that all the way back to the beginning of the level or completely reset, which is quite nice. I like the idea that this is sort of a more relaxing puzzle game. It's heavily narrative based. It's quite simple. It's quite easy to play through. I didn't have any trouble playing to the game until I got to about Act 3, and then it got a little bit more challenging. Currently the game's introducing these lasers, and basically you have to time your movements correctly, otherwise you'll end up crashing into them, and then you cause Theo to die and also not be very happy. But you can rewind 1 move, as I said before, then continue on or completely restart the level if you need a fresh look. Over time, there's more obstacles than just lasers. There's robots and other bits that you need to sort of work around. Here's the introduction of the robots. And there's also cards that sort of change their movement. So you're following this grid, and you can only go where these little white dots are. So this robot doesn't actually have a way to get on your grid. But soon you'll see that cards, in motion, basically, while you select them, actually can change what they are. And that becomes more of a timing game where you have to pick the card at the right time and select it to move. And also, if you're not exactly on this green dot at the end, if you go beyond it, it doesn't count. So having a precise trail that you're following and a precise number of cards that you're using is super important within this game. As I said previously, it's heavily narrated. The narrator even tells you off if you wait too long, just telling you to continue forward and telling Theo to continue forward. So it's definitely more focused on listening to the narrator and getting through the puzzle game. So if you're looking for a puzzle game that's more of just focusing on the puzzles and solving them without these big narrative interactions, this isn't a game for you, but I quite like how heavily narrated and themed it is. Here's one of the movement cards that changes, as I mentioned before, so you do have to select at the right time. And I do feel that having these previews, that's kind of what makes this game so easy and so straightforward, because you can literally see where you're going next to plan out your moves, so there's not a whole lot of trickery afoot. There's some more items in this room. You can see the gold cat statue, pretty straightforward. Some of them have funny descriptions like the starfish, alive, not sure, dead, maybe, unfazed by the current situation, definitely. And as you get deeper into the puzzle, some of these different things that you can end up interacting with actually tell you quite a bit about the story, or have theories that Theo is giving towards whatever happened in this house. Obviously, your parents being murdered is kind of a big deal, but that's just the beginning of this story, and next is like the unraveling of who these people were and what they were doing inside of this strangely big house full of robots, lasers, and broken bits of weapons. And you end up even going far beyond the house. There's the game name, you can see in the background, Bright Paw Industries, so it does have a big tie to the game itself. I personally like how narrative-based this puzzle game is. The story is kind of new, it's refreshing, it's not a story that I've heard before. I like the previews in these turns. So that makes the turn-based game for me way more approachable and accessible, because I feel like I really understand what I'm doing and can see exactly how my move affects me before I need to use it, which is just helpful. I do sometimes get caught out on like trying to rotate the rooms. It's much easier on tablet than it is on mobile phones for me to rotate and move around, which was quite interesting to discover. And I should mention that Bright Paw is made by Radical Forge, who have previously helped create games like Gang Beasts, but this is their first self-created title. So it's a pretty interesting title to start off with. It's quite different from the other bits of work that they've done in the industry. And this is a premium title that's out on iOS, Android, and Steam that you can pick up for about £4.99. And it's quite a fun game. We're starting to get to more challenging levels and bigger levels very soon. You can see there's one of our creators on the side wall, and you can really get a nice narrative point of view from the look of a cat trying to figure out its way through a possibly dangerous place. We're gonna get hit by this vacuum. Oh, it's a robot, not a vacuum, my bad. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you do check out the game if you're interested in narrative-based puzzles. Bye!